Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Sanders from Sanders Consulting, and thank you for joining me for my very first YouTube live stream video. A special hello to all of my friends in my online membership program, Leading System Change, the folks who convinced me that I want to do this. These little weekly bites are meant to help seed conversations about leading system change. And it seems that everybody is talking about shifting systems or transforming systems or reforming systems, and rightly so. But there's much less conversation going on about what that actually means. And more importantly, how to do it. So I help people with systems thinking. I coach people in systems thinking. I teach programs about systems thinking and healthy work systems. And now I'm starting this little mini bite-sized YouTube series about leading system change, just taking on a little foundational concept every week. So every Thursday at 12:15, at least for the next few months, I'm going to be streaming these ideas live. So I want to start today with psychology, and psychology is sort of Cinderella-like stepsister social psychology. So you're probably familiar with like individual psychology when we go see a therapist, or when we talk about behavioral psych, or we talk about counseling psych, or all the different kinds of psychology, cognitive psych, neural psychology. Those are almost always about individuals, or perhaps an individual in a relationship. And so they tend to focus on the traits of individuals and self-awareness and changing our own predispositions, which is all awesome and it's all important, right? And self-awareness is a necessary component of adulthood and of leadership. But when we're talking about system change, there's another form of psychology, another branch of psychology called social psychology that some of you might remember from your intro psych classes. And it has to do with not only the individual, but the situation the individual is in. And so social psychology looks at this interaction effect. So I can have my own personality traits and my own predispositions, but yet be in a situation that makes me behave in ways, or where I behave in ways that I'm not proud of, or I don't even view as familiar to me. And the reason this is so important when we think about system change is trying to address system change through changing individuals will never work. It's not enough, right? So what we need to do is change the situation that the individuals find themselves in. And then we have a chance to actually shift a system. So we've got the person, we've got the situation, and then we get the set of behaviors that comes from that. And so an example of this, how situations can shape behavior, is a study that was done in the 70s about the Good Samaritan. So we have these seminary students who are taking this class, and they're going to give talks on the Good Samaritan parable. So they're seminary students. We like to think that they're there for all the right reasons. They want to help others. They're people of faith. And the researchers split them into two groups and told some of the people, the one group, they told them, you're going to give this talk on the Good Samaritan, and you are going to give it across campus, and you've got plenty of time to get there. And, so when you're ready, get on over there and go give your talk about the Good Samaritan parable. And then other participants were told that you're going to go give this talk on being the Good Samaritan, but you're late. And you've got to get across campus, but you're going to be late because it's starting soon. And you got to get there as fast as you can so you end up, on time giving this talk about being a good Samaritan. And the researchers had hired an actor to actually lay in the sidewalk between the buildings and pretend to be injured, to pretend to need help. So it was a person acting as if they were in distress. And in order to get from the one building to the place they were supposed to give their talk, all of the seminary students had to pass this person who was acting as if they were in distress. And what do you think happened, right? Well, the people who were told they had plenty of time to get to the talk, well, they stopped and took the time to actually help the person who was needing help, right? So they worked to comfort or aid the person who was in distress. But those participants who were told that they were out of time and they had to get there, right away to give their talk on being a good Samaritan, well, they just ignored the person that was in their path. So, and the irony is, you're giving this talk about being a good Samaritan, but you, of course, are not being a good Samaritan because the situation was framed that you were late to go do this thing that you were supposed to do. So the situation that we place people in is vitally important, right? So we tell people, we want you to work as hard as you can, as long as you can, and yet take the time to help others and collaborate and be a good team member and work on yourself and being emotionally aware and being self-reflective. But we pile on the work so much that people don't have any time to put their head up or even rest adequately in order to feel like they've got all of their capacity to do their best work, much less help others. So the reason social psychology is so important is we have to be aware of the situations that these systems are putting people in if we want to change these systems. If we want those very same people to help us change the system, we have to be aware of the impact the system is having and make a space for this new work to happen. And there's one more major concept from social psych, one foundational concept that I want to talk about today. It's called fundamental attribution error. So it's a big mouthful for kind of a simple concept. It means that when we look at somebody else's behavior, so we look at the behavior of one of these seminary students who actually stepped over somebody who needed help when they were rushing to go give a talk about the Good Samaritan. Well, we could look at that behavior and say, well, that person is just uncaring. That person just doesn't care about who's around them or who needs help. And what we're doing is we're attributing somebody else's behavior to their personality traits instead of the situation that they find themselves in. And what's interesting to me, that's called the fundamental attribution error. What's interesting to me is that when we think about our own behavior, we actually usually do the opposite. Well, I wasn't having a good day, so that's why I was rude to the server at the restaurant. It's because I was having such a hard day and I was just feeling impatient. And I'm not an impatient person and I'm not a rude person and I'm a good person, but I was in a tough situation and that's why I acted that way. So we look at other people and we say, well, they're acting that way because of who they are. And we look at ourselves and we say, well, I'm a good person and I'm acting this way because of the situation I'm in. And if you think about it, that makes all of the difference when we're looking at other people's behavior within a system and we're saying, well, they don't want to change the system because they've never tried to change the system, or they didn't support me when I was trying to change the system. Well, it could very well be that they are interested in system change and that they really do want to change what's going on, but that they feel overwhelmed either at work or at home or in some other aspect of life. And their behavior is just a function of the situation they find themselves in. So when we keep in mind how the situation frames behavior and how it reshapes how we see each other, we maybe can cultivate a little more compassion for ourselves and each other and a more realistic viewpoint about system change, how it starts, and what's going to be necessary to do it. Because in order to shift a system, we have to shift the situation we find ourselves in. We don't have to shift every individual. We have to shift the system that we're all in. And we do that by creating this little space that's safe and using some processes and ways of thinking that can help us co-create together a situation that's healthier for all of us. So I hope this is helpful. If this is the sort of conversation that's of interest to you, you can find out more on my website, CatherineSandersPhD.com, or go directly to learn about leading system change at leadingsystemchange.com. Take good care.